They say home is where the heart is, but what if your heart's been stepped on so many times, you start leaving it outside the door? My name is Rachel. I'm 31, and every morning at 5:45 a.m. I tie a coffee-stained apron around my waist and open up the drive-through window of Sammy's diner. Like clockwork, I don't mind the job, I really don't, it's honest work. I make the best egg and cheese sandwich within 20 miles. Customers say so, not me. I can flip a pancake with one hand, pour hot coffee with the other, and smile through just about anything, except Sundays. Sundays break me a little every time. That's when we gather at Mom and Dad's. Big house, big porch, big energy, as long as you're not me. See my younger brother Michael. He's the golden child, always has been. He could set the kitchen on fire and Mom would ask if he needed more matches. Meanwhile, I once broke a ceramic vase in 2017, and I swear Mom still talks about it like it was a felony. Michael's got a kid now, a 6-year-old boy named Mason. Cute, loud, spoiled. He runs through the house like he owns it, and honestly, I don't blame him, because everyone lets him, because everyone loves him, because he's the only grandchild. Me, I bring donuts every week, the good kind, 2 fresh ones from the fancy bakery near work. Nobody ever eats mine. No joke, one time Dad literally pushed them aside to make room for store-bought muffins from Michael's wife. Nobody said thank you, not even a glance. I still remember the first time I noticed it. That shift. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't some huge betrayal, it was a silence. 7 years ago, I decided not to go to college. I told them gently over dinner. Between bites of roast chicken and mashed potatoes, I think I'm going to start working full-time. At the diner, I said, just for a while. Save up, maybe culinary school later. Mom's fork stopped midair. Dad cleared his throat. Michael laughed under his breath. That was it. That was all it took for them to stop seeing me as someone worth rooting for. I became the one who never aimed high enough. The one who serves food instead of making something of herself. They stopped asking about my days. They stopped bragging about me to neighbors. They stopped trying, but I still tried. That's the part that hurts the most. I still bring those stupid donuts. I still sit at the edge of the couch, hands folded in my lap, while they pass around photos of Mason's school drawings and talk about Michael's new car. I still nod when Dad tells the same old stories, still offer to help Mom with the dishes, still smile when nobody notices I'm there. And then when I leave, they don't say, thanks for coming, they say, tell Sammy we liked the fries last time, like I'm the delivery girl for my own worth. I don't cry about it often, but when I do, it's always the same moment. Back in my tiny apartment, peeling off my apron, spotting that same splash of coffee I forgot to wipe. It's a dumb thing to cry over, right? A stain. But somehow it represents everything. How no matter how hard I scrub, some things just don't wash away. It started with a ding, just one little text, right as I was wiping down the milkshake machine at the end of my shift. I didn't recognize the number. No name saved, but the message. Read, hey Ratch, we missed you today. Mason asked if you were coming. Mom seemed kinda off without you. I froze, my heart did that stupid little flutter, you know. The kind that only happens when you've been starving for kindness and someone throws you a crumb. Was this real? Was someone actually missing me? I wiped my hands on my apron, thumbs trembling over the screen. Hey, just saw this, sorry, who is this? Less than a minute later, it buzzed again. Oh shoot, wrong Rachel, this is Jake, Michael's buddy. I meant to text his wife's cousin. There it was, the slap. I stood there, staring at the screen like maybe the words would change if I just blinked hard enough. But they didn't because they never do. I didn't reply. I just shoved the phone back into my apron, walked to the back room, and locked myself in the single-stall bathroom. I sat down on the closed toilet lid, hands in my lap like I was waiting for someone to come in and hug me. But no one ever does. You know what the cruelest part was? For a moment, maybe 15 seconds, I let myself believe they cared, that Mason asked for me, that Mom noticed I wasn't there, that maybe, just maybe, I still mattered in that house full of noise and warmth. But it wasn't me they were talking about, just another Rachel, another someone. I told myself to shake it off, that I was too old to cry over things like this. But you're never really too old, are you? Not when it's about your own family. That night, I didn't bring donuts, I didn't show up to Sunday lunch, and nobody called. Nobody texted to ask where I was. Nobody even noticed the chair I always sat in stayed empty. On Monday, Michael dropped by the diner. I saw him through the drive-through window, laughing with Mason, ordering 2 milkshakes and a tray of fries. He didn't look in, didn't wave, didn't say hi. Just took the food and left like I wasn't the person who used to share a bunk bed with him for 8 years. I clocked out an hour early. Told Sammy I wasn't feeling well. Went home, curled up under a fleece blanket with the pattern of oranges on it. One Mom gave me for Christmas years ago, back when I was still someone in her eyes, and I let myself feel it. All of it, the sadness. The anger, the smallness. You ever feel like you're screaming into a room full of people you love, and no one even bothers to look up? It came in the mail. An actual envelope. Cream-colored, fancy script, the kind that smells like someone sprayed it with perfume and hope. For a second, I thought maybe it was a mistake. Nobody in my family sends paper invitations anymore. Not for birthdays, not for holidays. Everything's done in group chats I'm not part of. But there it was. Rachel Marie Bennett. Printed clearly across the front, my full name. No misspelling, no Ray or Ratch or to whom it may concern. Just me. I opened it slowly. Inside was a formal invitation to Mason's school award party. Apparently, he was getting some junior science star medal. And Michael and his wife were hosting a little celebration at Mom and Dad's backyard. It was covered in glittery stars. And a photo of Mason holding a beaker with blue food coloring in it, and right at the bottom, hosted by the Bennett family. I blinked. So, they were throwing a party at the house I grew up in for the grandchild they doted on, and they wanted me to come. I didn't know how to feel. Was this real? Was I finally being included again? Had they forgiven me for whatever the hell I did wrong? Was this the olive branch I didn't expect? I didn't RSVP. I didn't bring a gift. I didn't even decide I was going until the morning of. I just woke up, looked at the mirror and said, "Today I will show up, not for them, for me." I wore my nicest dress. It wasn't fancy, but it was clean and made me feel like I had purpose. I did my hair the way Mom used to like it. I even stopped by the bakery, yeah, that bakery, and bought a tray of mini cupcakes with blue stars on them. Thought it might be nice. I parked 2 houses down because the driveway was full. That was my first warning. The second was when I walked into the backyard, full of people, laughter, music, and no one turned to greet me. They saw me. Oh, they definitely saw me. But it was like I was in that dream where you scream but no sound comes out. I stood there holding cupcakes while Michael clinked glasses and gave a speech about family and support and how proud we are of the next generation. Not once did his eyes land on me. Not once did Mom wave me over. Not once did Dad smile. I placed the cupcake tray on the table, stood there for 10 minutes, then 20. I finally walked over to Mom and tapped her gently on the shoulder. She turned, eyes wide like she'd seen a ghost. "Rachel," she said, "you came." I nodded. Yeah, I got the invitation. She blinked. "Oh, I think Michael's wife sent those." She must have grabbed the old address list from Facebook. I didn't know she included "you." That did it. That one sentence, not even said cruelly. Just casually, like I was a misprint on a guest list. I didn't cry there. I smiled. Said, "Well, tell Mason congrats." Then turned around and walked right past the cupcake table without looking back. No one stopped me. No one followed, and you know what? The only thing that hurt more than being forgotten was being remembered by accident. I didn't go to work the next day. Didn't call in, didn't text. I just lay in bed with the blinds closed, fully dressed under the blankets like I was hiding from my own life. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard her voice again. I didn't know she included you, like I wasn't supposed to be there, like I wasn't one of them. My apartment was so quiet that day I could hear the humming of the fridge, the click of the ceiling fan, even the neighbor's dog scratching at its own door. It made me feel unreasonably small. You know that kind of silence, the one that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels pointed, like the world is purposely leaving you out of the conversation. By evening, I found myself doing the dumbest thing. I baked cupcakes again. Same batch I brought to the party. Blue frosting and all. I didn't know why. I didn't even like cupcakes. But there was something about watching the batter rise in the oven, about having control over how long they stayed, how sweet they turned out, that made me feel sane again. Then I did something even dumber. I packed them in a box, put on my hoodie, and drove to Mom and Dad's house. I told myself I wasn't there to make a scene. I just needed to say something. Anything, because I couldn't keep letting it build up inside of me like acid behind my ribs. The porch light was on when I arrived. I could see Dad through the window watching TV. Beer in hand, I saw Mom walk past, laughing at something on her phone. The cupcake started sweating in the box from my palms. I knocked once, then twice. Dad opened the door, eyebrows raised like I'd just shown up selling encyclopedias. Rachel. Hey, I said small, can we talk for a sec? He glanced behind him. Now's not great, we're about to eat. I nodded slowly. I brought these, I said, holding up the box. Cupcakes, leftovers. He didn't reach for them, didn't open the door wider, just said, that's nice of you. And then, I don't know what happened. The words tumbled out of me like a dam. All I ever wanted was to be part of this family again. His face changed, confused then cautious. I'm not asking to be the favorite, I said, my voice cracking. I want to be seen, to be invited on purpose, to not be the person you only remember when someone else makes a list. Rachel. I work hard. I show up. I clean up after Mason. I bring food. I listen to your stories. I call Mom even when she doesn't pick up. He sighed. We never meant to make you feel. You didn't have to mean it. You did it. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just stood there with blue frosted cupcakes in my hands and a fire in my chest that had been quietly burning for years. He didn't know what to say. So he didn't say anything, just nodded once. And closed the door. I walked back to my car, sat there in the dark, the box still in my lap, still unopened. You know what's wild? Even then, even after all that, I still waited 5 minutes. I still thought, maybe he'll open the door again. Maybe he'll say something. But the porch light turned off, and that was my answer. It was a Wednesday. I remember that clearly. Because I had just finished cleaning the ketchup pump. The absolute least glamorous part of my job. When the bell above the front door jingled, I didn't look up at first, just wiped my hands and headed toward the counter. Welcome to Sammy's morning special, still on till 10. Then I saw him, and my whole body went still. Josh, he smiled. That crooked, kind, almost a genuine smile that I hadn't seen in nearly 7 years. Hey Ratch, the last time I'd seen Josh. He was standing on my apartment porch, holding a bouquet of wildflowers, asking me to move with him to Arizona. And I said no, not because I didn't care, but because I was afraid to leave this town, afraid to leave my parents, afraid that if I went too far, I'd lose them for good. Funny how I lost them anyway, by staying. What are you doing here? I asked, blinking fast. He sat on one of the stools at the counter, arms folded comfortably like he'd never left, passing through. Work stuff. Thought I'd stop in and see if the best grilled cheese in Florida still tastes the same. You remember that? He chuckled. You made it for me. Every Sunday night. I did. I remembered everything. We talked while I refilled the coffee pot. He asked about the diner, about my apartment, about the weather, all the surface stuff. But his eyes kept drifting, watching me too closely. Like he saw something he hadn't expected. You okay? He finally asked, and just like that, I felt the walls crack. I didn't cry, didn't rant. I just told him about the cupcake tray, about the mailbox invitation, about standing on my parents' porch with a box in my hands and not enough dignity left to knock again. I told him how it feels to be blood and still be invisible. And he listened out the way nobody else ever had, no interruptions, no advice. Just him, and his steady breath across the counter. When I finished, I looked away, embarrassed. Sorry, that's a lot. Josh leaned forward. Riche, he said gently, that's not a lot. That's you finally telling the truth. I swallowed hard. Then he added, and it's not your fault. The way they treat you, it's not because you failed them, it's because they failed you. The silence that followed wasn't heavy, it was healing. Like someone had finally pointed at the scar and said, yeah, that looks like it hurts. He stayed for an hour, a whole hour. We talked about the little things, laughed a bit. He told me about his life, not perfect, not shiny, but honest. When he left, he paid for his sandwich and coffee. Overpaid, actually, and slipped something under his plate, a folded napkin. With his number on it. And for words that made my chest tighten. If you ever want more. I didn't call right away, didn't text either. But for the first time in a long, long while, I walked home feeling like I was worth something. Maybe even more than I thought. I didn't go back to Mom and Dad's house again. Not for birthdays. Not for holidays, not even when Mason broke his arm. And the family group chat, the one I was never added to, lit up with concern and emojis and plans to visit. I didn't stay away out of bitterness. I stayed away because I finally understood something. They weren't my home anymore. Home isn't made of walls or names or shared blood. Home is where you're wanted. Home is where someone asks how your day was and waits for the answer. Home is where no one makes you feel like you have to earn your place at the table. And if I didn't have that yet, then I'd build it myself. I started small. A plant in the window, a new apron. Clean this time. I joined a local poetry group that met behind the library on Thursdays. Told them I was a waitress with a story or two. They listened, they laughed. They invited me back. One night I brought cupcakes. They vanished in minutes. Someone even asked for the recipe. I cried in my car afterward. Not because I was sad, but because it was the first time in years someone ate what I brought and smiled at me for it. Josh started calling, then texting. Then visiting again. Not every day. Not like a whirlwind romance. Just gently, consistently. He'd stop by the diner on slow nights, sit at the counter, slide me a chocolate bar like we were in high school again. We never really talked about the past. We just built something new, one quiet, soft moment at a time. Then one Sunday, I did something wild. I hosted my own lunch in my tiny apartment. Nothing fancy, foldable table, mismatched chairs, and paper napkins that said "You Matter" in gold cursive. I invited coworkers, a girl from poetry group, even Sammy and Josh, of course. I made sandwiches, baked cupcakes, strawberry this time. We sat and laughed and spilled soda and told stories that went nowhere. There was no head of the table, no one ignored anyone. We passed the food, we passed the joy, we passed the feeling of belonging, and in that moment, I realized I wasn't missing from the table anymore. I'd just been sitting at the wrong one. That night, I got a text from Mom. I heard you had a little gathering. Maybe we could come by sometime. I stared at it, not angry, not bitter, just done chasing, so I replied, I hope you're doing well, but this table's already full, and I meant it, because I, Rachel Bennett, diner worker, black sheep, cupcake bringer, finally understood something. I am not a placeholder. I am not a second choice. I am not invisible. I am someone worth seeing, someone worth celebrating, even if I had to be the first to believe it.